Do now, ba 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 da dee ba 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 da dee ba 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 da. Do now, think positive podcast.
Welcome back again to Do Now, Think Positive. Now we are doing the part 2, which is the present. Let's go back again to Mr. Wai Yu and Mr. Philip.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Wai Yu. So the current challenges, I would say that is quite unique because if you're talking about current challenges, I'd like to bring forward to, also going backwards to last year. Last year when the tariff was hit, most company, including our company, we were quite badly hit because we have key customers that are exporting to US and they had to scale down, and we even have one or two key customers that have to ship to other locations, other countries. So that has been very challenging. So since end of last year, the strategy for 2026 was rebuilding our companies. But unknowingly, the war started in February, and now we have exacerbated a new challenges, which is the supply chain and the rising cost very exorbitantly. So that is really challenging for this year. So I would say that we kind of handle this not by luck, not by chance, but it's just that from day one, our company policy and philosophy is that we treat our supply chain, our supplier, just as important as our customer, because that is critical. Because I noticed that most companies do not treat their supplier quite fairly or nicely, because customer is always important, but supply chain is also important because with the current shortage, market material shortage issue, supplier has the upper hand. Most manufacturers will have easily 2 to 3 months stockpile. So it's up to them to allocate. So does our company. We also keep about 2 months stocks. So we keep that for our key customers. And because we work very closely with them, so we very, very aligned with them. So if you do have a very good relationship with your suppliers, you can negotiate for, even though it's delayed, you still can get a little supply to prolong. And price increase is inevitable, but at least you can cap it there. So now the market is facing that even though you have the funds to buy, you might not have the allocation. So that is very challenging.
I fully agree with you, Philip. I think last year was a very challenging year for a lot of people. On your side, you are impacted by the tariffs. On my side, I'm impacted indirectly by the same source, which is when the USA had a new president, and the new president said something that affected my industry very badly. He said we need to stop unnecessary spending, and that includes spending into research and development on foreign affairs, and that is what we do quite a lot of. So when the USA did that move, a lot of our clients who depend on funding from the US government ceased to exist. They had to close down. They shut down many of the international offices around the world, and it also impacted a lot of the research projects that we did on our side. So we were quite strongly impacted last year as well. And similarly, the whole of last year, it was focused on rebuilding. It was focused on rebuilding, rebranding, and repositioning so that we get a more diverse portfolio of revenue streams. That was something that I learned the hard way. I think as a business owner, our only source of education is what I call as real life tuition fee. Things like this, where we lose a bunch of sales and businesses and it impact our profits and things like that. This is actual tuition fee that we are paying for because we didn't manage the business as well as we could have. So knowing that something like that, where even though USA is so far away, they have a new president, nobody thought that it would impact us halfway around the world, and it did. So we were focused on rebuilding last year. And like you say, this year now we have new issues. We have an additional war happening in the Middle East and in Russia as well. And although that impacted you, that put me in a good position because of all of the volatility, all the uncertainty that comes with wars. A lot of businesses and brands needs to have more information about what to do. And then that's where I come in. So a lot of our clients are asking us, how is the supply chain affected in Malaysia? What can they do so that they ensure that their logistics and their sales is not impacted in different regions of the world? So we tend to benefit a little bit in that sense, right? And we work with people like yourself, for example. So we will interview factory owners, manufacturers, supply chain people, logistics to understand what are the current challenges and issues so that we can advise our clients on the best way forward. So that's where research comes in, right? Why it's so important to help. But I want to add one more thing before I stop talking, which is I agree with your mindset about taking care of your suppliers. End of the day, we are also suppliers. And I think everybody will always be a supplier to somebody, right? Our client takes care of us very well. We have a few clients who really treats us as partners, not as suppliers. They treat us with the same level of respect, and they treat us as the knowledge experts in our field of work. And because of that, we work so well together, and we appreciate the working partnership together. So whenever they have a problem, I will do whatever I can to make sure that their problem is fixed. I will do whatever I can to utilize more resources in my company so that I will help their project become a success before other clients. And that is why it is so important to manage the client-supplier relationship well.
Yeah. Going back to the part one, whereby talking about managing your costs. So if you were to maintain a very, very competitive main cost, so these are the situations since last year and this year that challenges which are really, really tough to manage. At least your cost base is able to weather you much longer than others. So that's one. Number two is that basically if you look at the last year and this year challenges exacerbated last year. So actually it's compounded that this year is a very, very challenging year. So if you look at the marketplace, many people feel that oil, so most of the plastic industry have got hit, but most of the non-plastic industry are also going to get affected soon. Transport costs, very soon transport are going up. So literally every cost will go up. So that's one thing which is very prevalent. So how?
Philip, can I ask you something on an operational standpoint? I think one of the benefit of companies like us, where we have been around for around 30 years, the strongest benefit is that we have stability, right? We have already survived in the market for 30 years. We can easily survive the next 20, 30 years as well. But I think what you said just now about being very careful with costs and having sufficient reserve to survive the storm is very important, right?
Longer than others.
Right, but let me understand from because we work in different industries, right? In my industry or rather in my company, we try to at least ensure we have about a 1 year or 1.5 year reserve, so that we know that in the worst case scenario, if we have no jobs at all, we can at least survive and pay our staff for a year. Is that similar in your industry?
It varies company to companies. So we are also the same. We should be able to survive like 18 to 24 months in the event that the thing. But of course, we are not going to stretch to the 18 to 24 months.
Of course,
so when we first hear the news, the first thing we do is that how are we going to adapt and then and change our strategy, modify or change, but not that drastic, but keep moving along. So we discuss as a team, we are a team, and then we find revenue to scavenge it, to minimize the impact. So I would say that adapt from day one you started business, you have to keep adapting. So I see some of the leaders that I met and spoke to. Whenever you ask for them to make some even minor changes, they are so reluctant and they are so unhappy about change. But today world, the only thing that's constant is change. Because you see, I was born in the analog era, then come the digital, and now it's the AI era. We used to have product lifespans averaging about 3 to 5 years. Then come to digital era, product lifespan lasting for 1 to 2 years. Now the product lifespan is that we are talking about months, not talking about years. The kind of speed. So the only thing you can do is adapt and change. If you don't change, you are just waiting. You become very reactive. So I felt that as a leader, more so on SME, because SME has very additional burden in the sense that they are in their mid-30s, children are young. So the first thing they wake up in the morning is that they send their kids to school. They go to offices, meeting, and then they're meeting after meeting client, and they go back. They have very little me time to think about planning a strategy. So I felt that it's always good to have a me time to think about it, and must be brave enough to adapt, because to me, I feel that no decision is a worst decision. Yeah.
One of the strategies that I do to manage central force is that I believe that, just like you say, shelf life, right? Same thing happens to every business as well. Every revenue stream that you have, every product or service that you sell will have an expiry date. It's important as a business leader, particularly if you're in the industry for a long time, you should have a good sense of what is the expiry date or what is the sunset period for this revenue stream. So, for example, if you know that, so let's say in our case, if we know that a certain methodology will only last 3 more years before AI takes over, then it is very important for us to prepare a new revenue stream in that 3 years, to start adapting, start looking for new sources of income that will replace this revenue stream that will end soon. And I think we need to be aware of all the different streams that we have, what's the expiry date on every single stream, so that we can plan accordingly. That's how, and that falls into your point about how to strategize, right? Have me time and strategize.
I mean, I agree with you, Wai Yu. I mean, you're talking about a damn position. I'll give you an example in our industry. If you come up with a very innovative packaging, and once it go viral, and you know that the rest of the world will be able to see what you created, and it's very easy for them to copy. They have to buy one, strip it open, and if they were to bring it to China, the sheer volume there, they will produce much cheaper than you. So you will be always constantly facing with being replicated at a much lower cost. So how are you going to really anchor yourself to slow down that kind of? You can't run away because China has the volume. They could produce cheaper and they are able to follow and replicate very fast. So you have to find a right strategy to niche very well. You know, that is the fact. That's a brutal reality of businesses that is with the adoption of AI, things are so much faster now.
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Wai Yu and Mr. Philip. We are ending our part 2 of this interesting session, interesting interview. Stay tuned for next week for our final part 3, which is we are going to discuss about the future.